What is up, guys? Welcome back to the garage. Been a while, little hiatus, and we're back. Unfortunately, we are actually working on this turd. Alright, so diverter valves, pretty big issue with these cars, and what we'll be doing is chucking this guy in. So this is the GFB operated diverter valve, which is basically a fancy word for blow-off valve for European cars. Like that's exactly what it is. Anyway, we're going to be installing this. I'll chuck a link in the description so you can see what the pros and cons of this is. Well, there's no real cons. Yeah, and let's get into that.
Perfect.
What I'm going to do is take a video of, probably in the bay, the noise it makes. So she is a screamer. She's leaking boost, and she's always been down on power, and even after fitting the PCV delete and all of that stuff, giving it a good service and all of that, draining the cooler, she's still always just been a little bit hesitant, a little bit down on power, and given that it is the S-Line, that is a bit concerning. So yeah, just listening to it, looking online at different videos and stuff, I've recently managed to replace the snub mount down the bottom, which made a huge difference, I might add, because it did not have a snub mount. The whole motor would lean and move all over the place by itself. Now that's replaced, that's good, so we got the engine response back, but now it's just down on power. So yeah, let's get that diverter valve off, the one down there. We'll get you some video of what noises she makes at the moment, and we'll get some when it is done as well. So I'm going to get out of the car, we're going to get the old diverter valve off and swap over the internals.
Okay, so chucking the camera in the bay, just going to tape it down in this one. I do use a torch in the future 2 videos with a DV installed. Makes a big difference, gives you a bit more of a visual reference as to what's going on with the engine and stuff tilting. Now you'll hear sounds like air escaping from a balloon. That little flutter, like when you hold the end of the balloon and let all that air up. You can hear the high pitch, that is just all the boost just out the door. Gone. Basically it felt like it was naturally aspirated all the way up to redline. Had no grunt, had no down low, partial throttle, it made boost and it felt good. Anything more than that and not so great.
Turn off the gimbal so I can manually get you guys up in here. Alright, so under here, obviously, that's our diverter valve there. This big oh, what? Okay, so there's a wire cut for the diverter valve, so that's obviously just shut. You see a little oil up in there as well. I'm going to work out where that's coming from, and I dare say that's probably in the intercooler as well. Luckily, there we go. In that box over there is the catch can, so we'll be able to do that in the next video once all this is sorted. Man, that is really, yeah, a bit of really nasty up there. I'll find out where that leak's coming from. Might be the rocker cover again, maybe. I have to take that off and have a gander. But obviously our first problem is the diverter valve is actually, one of the wires is broken off, so it never actually worked in here anyway, and that explains the turbo flutter that you can hear quite prominently with this particular car, even under just light loads. A lot of boost. Anyway, let's get the diverter valve off and I'll spray up there, get rid of some of that oil and stuff, and we'll get it on the bench. Wow, okay, so we have the alt diverter valve out, which is basically an electromagnetic solenoid. Well, not basically, it's literally an electromagnetic solenoid. I guess it's electric over having just a pneumatic blow-off valve. So this one's pretty dirty. We've got a lot of oil in this plug here too, which is alright because it's a sealed unit. That's, I dare say, either from egress through the unit, or it's actually from the rocker cover seal leaking again. So I'm going to have a look at that rocker cover seal leak. Maybe even just tighten the bolts on top for that. Remember that we just done that recently, so possibly just left it loose, or maybe not enough silicone or something. But anyway, this is the dirty, manky, bloody thing here. We retain this, so we need to give this a good clean, make sure she's up to the task. Take the old spring out, the old sleeve here out, make sure this guy's good. Yeah, she's still good. Now this is one of the older units as well. Some of the other ones had an updated, I think there's like 3 iterations, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe there's 3 iterations of this valve because they are prone to failing. This one, yeah, excuse me. This one especially, and you can see why. That is a huge boost leak right there. And that's what the screaming was, I guess. So coming on to boost, full throttle, she was gutless, and that probably explains a lot. And that guy would sit on here and do all its boosty things, and yeah, if boost was creeping past that, then not ideal. So hopefully this will rectify, at least this will rectify this issue. So what I'll do is I'll clean up the solenoid, and then we've got this good looking bit of equipment here. Go past bits, diverter valve, like that just replaces a brass sleeve, this guy here, instead of this whole thing here. So it's simplified, it's cleaner, more rugged, and you look on, don't want to get it all dirty, but on the back there it has a silicone seal instead of rubber, so that's definitely going to last a lot longer, and it looks like it's got a couple more seals there. Another O-ring on the top, it's billet, far better than another spring there, so far better than the OEM obviously, especially your older ones. So if you do have a failing one of these, I suggest replacing it with one of these. There are benefits. I'll put the video that I found the most helpful in regards to the pros of running one of these. Throttle response and everything is marginally better, so for about the same price as buying another one of these, if not less, just do this, just upgrade. And I will mention, you will need a setup similar to this to get off the diverter valve. Look how dirty my car is. This is actually bloody nasty. So an extension of about that length and a ratchet, because the bolts are on quite tight, given that they are Loctite, or Loctited, is a word. They did use Loctite to hold the bastard in there, so they're only pretty firm. That is the best setup I found to get in there, and just be patient and yeah, go ham. Yeah, alright, let's get that clean. Looking good, it is together. So we got these 3 bolts here, longer obviously because you're adding like an extra 10 mil to it.
And yeah, that's how she looks. Nice and simple once it's together. Make sure your O-ring underneath is seated properly. You got an O-ring on the top there, and we just got to put it back in. Now you'd just plug it in and go, but because my wire is broken or cut or whatever's happened to it, I gotta wire that bastard up. So I'm gonna chuck some Loctite on these, and then we are gonna go ahead and chuck her in the car. And then, yeah, we'll go for a drive after that. Obviously, we'll chuck the camera back in the bay and go for a scoot around, see what kind of noises she makes.
5 minutes later.
We have the diverter valve back in the car, lads. 3 bolts, easy as that. Really is actually that simple. Now, excuse the mess in here. Now, you guys a bit of a wipe down and turn off the gimbal again. Ooh. Let's have a look. Like it's saying, really is as simple as 3 Allen bolts. Pretty bloody straightforward now. You can kind of see it in there. Not the best angle or anything like that, but you get the gist. 3 bolts out, 3 bolts in, make sure everything's clean. I sprayed it down and got it all clean. I'm going to clean out that plug. I am going to rewire it, so just reconnect that wire basically. And that's our diverter valve done, and we'll go do some sneaky pulls. I'm going to actually do them with the diverter valve unplugged and with the diverter valve plugged in, so if anyone's interested in the kind of dose noises and everything that you get from these guys when you unplug your diverter valve. And this has still got the stock exhaust at the moment, so that'll give you an idea anyway. We got oil everywhere, so anyway, let's get into it. I'll get that wide and then we'll go for a scoot.
now we are done. Go fast bits, diverter valve is in, 3 bolts. I had to do some wiring to plug her in, but wasn't that bad. Car is performing so much better, pulls a lot harder, pulls all the way through the rev range. You guys got to hear it with it plugged in and with it unplugged, so there's a whole lot of dose now, like a lot, and sounds good, and it performs just as well both with it plugged in and with it unplugged. Completely changed the car for me. I've always owned it with that split in there, so it's always been a little bit temperamental. I just thought it was a wagon, so she's slow, but she's definitely not slow. The pulls that I was doing were 2 to 3, and that's 120 letting off pretty early, and that's pretty good considering the size of it. Stock tune, stock exhaust. It's just basically a hot air intake. You've seen my cold air intake attempt. We're probably going to box that up now and kind of retain that, given that just my life circumstances at the moment aren't going to allow me to go with a bigger turbo or anything for a while, like a long while. We're going to keep the same turbo, maybe go KO4 with a billet wheel in the future, just something small. And anyway, that's stock, pulls good, feels good, making full boost like it should. Bloody brilliant. 3 bolts. Cost me, I think, $150 AU, $150.56 with express shipping. Brought it Friday, got it today, which is Monday. I'll check the link in the description where I actually got this particular one. They've got like I think it's like a 12% discount or something, or maybe a 5% discount, which was $12, which let me select express post instead of regular post, using that as savings. So a little bit of a trick there, but I'll chuck that in the description. I'll also chuck in the description the actual video that I watched that sold me on getting this. It is actually their promotional video of it, but they explain it very well. The product, the quality of the product, what they've done, how it works, and how it is beneficial to throttle response and all of that. And obviously all this information's in there too. And yeah, she's good. So yeah, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Anything you want to know about the install, or you want some outside pulls, some outside videos of what she sounds like plugged in, unplugged, chuck that in the comments. And yeah, peace.